Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Welcome back, folks. This is episode 154. It's about payroll. We got a guest on today, but before we get into that, what's up, Walt?
What's up, man? How you doing, Brian? Happy Eve.
I'm good, man.
Day to you. If you celebrate, for those
If
of
you
you
celebrate, it's Passover.
Yeah.
What else? Good Friday.
Good Friday.
If you're Catholic or Jewish, you have a
Happy
holiday.
Easter to those that observe that as
Yep,
well.
exactly.
And everything, man. But I'm good. How about you?
Man, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good, man. You got you got some news to share? Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
I saw this
a story
yesterday
that
too. Yeah.
It's a story that I saw on TikTok and I wanted to just share it. Look, because we pay people, and as we know that 65-70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
And so the topic of Coachella came up, and it's interestingly enough, the young man that was reporting on it said that about 60% of the people that attended actually financed their tickets to go. And I'm just like, man, there's no coincidence. Like 60%, 65% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So it only makes sense that 60% of those people that attended had to finance it. So a $600 ticket, you could have put down a down payment in November last year of $50 and made monthly installment payments through March of this year. And there was a additional one-time fee of $41. And so I think a lot of people didn't have the $600 outright, which also was another stat that a lot of Americans don't have at least $1,000 saved up for emergency. So look, and he just went on in this TikTok about how more companies are starting to allow you to finance. Chili's is on the list. Like you could finance a meal.
Dude, you could do it when I log on to my Chase and my statements, stuff that I've already paid.
Yeah.
It says, do you want to split this up in payments?
Yes, bro.
And I'm like, that's cool and everything, but wow, this is crazy. But it makes sense, man. Look, all of those stats that we keep reporting on keep coming together and making sense on the news that we read, man.
That's what I had. What about you?
No doubt. I found another, I like to go digging in the crates. I found this company named Link, LINQ. And Link is a premier software provider exclusively serving K-12 school operations. They announced an expanded investment. And one of the things that they did for a school district, they're seeing an impact as they expanded their payroll piece. So, for example, a district in Utah faced delays, and I think we reported on or we covered this in some way where, no, maybe not, because I think it was like the checks were delayed. But anywho, this particular district, because of their own old time clock system, it was taking them 90 minutes to pull the time from their system. 90 minutes to pull a report, right?
Wow.
Unheard of for me. I'd never been in part of anything that long. The Link system got it down to 30 seconds, which is normal for us, right? For processing.
Yeah.
So Link is in the bio if folks want to dig in and check it out. I love
the link for Link.
Yeah, Link for, oh shit. And it stood out too because a lot of our career has been in schools and stuff like that and helping out with the education system.
Yeah.
But before we get into our guest today, let's go ahead and pay the bills. If you're looking for a more efficient way to manage your employee time, speaking of time, TimeTrack Go is the solution. TimeTrack Go turns ordinary tablets to state-of-the-art time clock systems in minutes. And with its mobile app and web portal, employees can clock in from anywhere. But wait, it gets better than that. It automates the time and attendance piece, also PTO tracking, simplifies the time off requests. So TimeTrack Go makes life easier for both you and your team, manager, payroll, HR, employees all around, and stop wasting time with these outdated systems.
Yeah, for real. So look, TimeTrack Go has a special offer for our It's About Payroll listeners. Right now, they're offering an additional 50% off your first 2 months. You heard that right. 50%. That's 50. So just head over to www.timetrackgo.com/IAP. That's www.timetrackgo.com/IAP and start your 14-day free trial. today so you can claim this special, amazing offer. Let's go.
Let's go. So today's guest is a founder and CEO of Aspina. It's a technology company bringing over. Aspina is a technology
Empa.
company. What's that?
Asinpa.
Asinpa. Oh, Aspina. I said. Let's start that over.
Okay.
Today's guest is a founder and CEO of Asinpa, bringing over 20 years of expertise in IT leadership, strategic technology solutions, and custom software development. Known for his servant leadership style, he specializes in aligning diverse cultures and technologies, driving post-merger integrations, and nurturing talent. He is passionate about delivering affordable, innovative solutions that transform IT services and help organizations achieve their business goals. Welcome, Gustavo Vasconcelos.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So tell us,
Mhm.
give us your origin story. How did you get to this point where you have a software and a service that helps payroll?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Really started a few years back, 25 years back, when I came to the States. I have a background in computer systems engineering, and I joined back then a consulting company. And this is where the web was just coming about, right? We made it after the Y2K that nobody was going to survive, and
Yep.
that company was building a web payroll product for a service bureau, a payroll provider. And I joined them, didn't know much about payroll, just again came to the States and didn't know much about it. Worked on that and got really exposed to all the intricacies of what goes in to calculate a paycheck. And there's quite a bit. I know people typically just see the gross and some taxes go out and this is my net, but there's a little bit more beyond that.
Yeah.
So after that, I joined actually a payroll provider. It was CompuPay at the time.
Have you ever wondered what really makes a generation tick? Who gets to pick the name? And why the slang keeps changing? Don't worry, I can help. My name's Dr. Megan Grace. On #Gen Z, I share the voices and experiences of Generation Z, how they're different from other generations, what moves them, and why they do what they do. In each episode, we go beyond the buzzwords and the stereotypes to dive into real conversations and the insights that matter to making intergenerational collaboration a reality. You can catch #Gen Z on the Work to Find podcast network and wherever you listen to podcasts.
And we grew by acquisitions. Then Benefit Mall, a company here out of Dallas, ended up acquiring and merging with CompuPay. And I ended up managing all of the payroll applications for them. So since we grew by acquisitions, at some point I had 7 different systems that I was managing and maintaining for them. Got exposed to a lot in terms of what happens behind the scenes when payroll managers put in all the information and click submit. Then all the fun begins for us on the payroll provider side. But yeah, it was quite the journey, and happy to be here. So happy to answer any questions or do a deeper dive on anything that you guys want to touch on.
Yeah, amazing. That's more of a payroll background than I remember, because I remember you had the technical. You spoke before. Remember you had the technical background, but it's nice to see there's a lot of big payroll impact, because a lot of folks build payroll solutions but never really did payroll. And not that hey, God bless, but it's different, right? It's different when you understand what you're solving for.
It sure is.
And I think that goes a lot better to our payroll community, because we really serve the payroll community. So it's tough to have executives on that never process. So I'm glad to hear that. So now tell us, how does Asinpa, first of all, what does Asinpa mean?
Great question. So Asinpa is an acronym in Spanish. We're an information technology company and we leverage nearshore. So we have folks here in the States and folks in Mexico from a nearshore perspective. And that's how we put together teams to deliver solutions
Amazing.
for our clients. It roughly translates to an association of engineers from the Pacific. I was originally born and raised in Mazatlan, Mexico, which is on the Pacific side of Mexico, and it's the Pearl of the Pacific. That's what the city is called. So that's where the name comes from.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us, how does Asinpa help payroll?
Yeah, great question. Because we're an information technology company, one of the verticals that we have is we build custom software. From a payroll perspective, we can come in at both levels, right? Your payroll department itself, or from a payroll provider perspective, the Workdays, the ISOF, UKGs of the world. And we can come in, help you with your process improvement. We have a consulting arm where we provide process improvements, make sure that your overall workflow and everything that you have is as efficient as possible. That typically yields a lot of elimination of manual work, a lot of automation, and you want to do as much of that so that you don't end up fat fingering things as you double entry your information.
Yes.
And so that's one sliver of what we do in terms of software development. We can do with a lot of integrations, a lot of folks, again, going back to all they see is here's my gross, here's my net, but behind the scenes, that deduction has to go everywhere, whether it is your 401k, your benefits, there is financial integrations with GL systems, and that's where we come in, right? Times you have a software that you process payroll with, and it has to integrate with the finance team, GL accounting system, and it's a pain to be downloading GL files and email it or uploading it, and so we can come in, build very simple and quick integrations from that regard. So those are two. One of the things that we're getting into, just because, again, the demand is there, is cybersecurity services as well, right? So there's a lot of need and a lot of attention for payroll. That's payroll HR data from any organization. That's the core of all of your employees, and you don't want their data to be exposed in any way. So we're partnering with organizations to ensure that they have the proper security posture. And so we partner both on the HR, payroll, finance, as well as the IT side, and do an assessment, validate what kind of framework they have for security, help them establish policies and procedures, and just elevate things a little bit more for them so that they feel comfortable knowing that they're doing the reasonable things around measures for cybersecurity.
Amazing. So it's funny that you bring up cybersecurity because it is a big topic in the world. Do you also feel like, because all the cybersecurity experts that we talked to have said the only prevention is training and education. Do you feel like that's true, or do you feel like there's one day it could be a technology solution?
Yeah, so, cybersecurity is an area where you just cannot invest enough, right? And that's why I said you got to figure out what is the reasonable thing for your organization to do. Certainly the training is where we want to do a lot of work. You have folks that come from other organizations or that are just getting into the job market that are not exposure into what's best practice, right? There's a lot of stuff that we get in emails that if we don't know how to read, whether it's a good email or a fake one, it's very easy to fall into that. So we break it into two components, really. There is the edge device, so to speak, your firewall, your everything that's technology that is attacking your systems. And then the other one is the human element, right? Which is training your teams to ensure that they have the right awareness in terms of what the bad guys look like and what they're doing. And there are great programs, and we can help organizations select the right approach. But we have a particular software that we use, and we're constantly on a quarterly basis training every employee at Asinpa to go through it. And we measure, we have certain goals that we want to have 0 people clicking on the campaigns that we put together to send to our folks. So it's very important to stay on top of things. And the biggest challenge that corporations have is that what happens if you send your training Q1 and Tavo clicks on it, right? And okay, Tavo's going to get some extra training, blah, blah, blah. But then Q2, Tavo clicks on it again. And so you become a frequent flyer.
Yep.
And if the company doesn't have the right policies to say, hey, look, 3 strikes, you're out, you're really a risk for us, right? There's some conversation. So it's not just subscribing to get the training, it's having the right policies in place to ensure that this is a serious matter, because a lot of the issues come from within. And so you can be protected from the hacking of your application and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's people that is the most vulnerable on clicking or doing things that they shouldn't.
Wow.
Okay. So,
Right.
no, so you brought up training, right? So is that a big or major piece of what Asinpa does for the client to educate them?
So we provide the short answer is yes. We don't go and train necessarily all of your employees, right? We train management to ensure they understand where the exposures are coming from, where the risks are, because you have to create the right awareness at the right level so that everything else aligns. The ongoing training that, for example, that we follow, right? We subscribe to a SaaS solution, and that solution delivers our training. We build campaigns with fake attacks, fake emails, so on and so forth. And so that is, once the senior executives have the right awareness, then we look at what's the right software for them that can manage the training and look at how they are evolving in terms of maturity. At the beginning, maybe you get X percentage of your company that, they've never been exposed to it and they click. And then the campaigns also, the partner that we use for this solution works with us very closely. And we're just ratcheting it up a little bit every quarter to make those that much difficult to really identify. And so that's what I mean by the training, right? So it's the executive level, but then there are systems that you can subscribe to, and we'll partner with you to ensure that it's implemented the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And for the record, it's really, those trainings, they're really not expensive, right? It's a per employee per month type of SaaS thing, but they're fairly affordable, and it's just a matter of having the right continuity. And probably the most important one I go back to is understanding what to do to ensure that you can correct the behavior of your team, right? Mm-hmm. It does no good to anybody to just click on it and not react to it.
Okay. So Brian, you had something?
Yeah.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Technology-wise, what can you share about how you're implementing AI? Because I see AI in your background. So what can you share?
Yes. Yeah. So AI, right? Everybody's doing something, right or wrong, or everybody's trying to do something.
Yep.
We use AI internally. We're a Microsoft organization from the tools that we use to manage Asinpa, and we use Copilot as part of that. We've leveraged Copilot from a administration aspect, your meetings, summarizing it, taking video, helping us with proposals, action items, things of that nature, right? Things that are core to any organization. And you can use any AI tool that's out there. Just be consistent. What we're starting to do is get into the agentic AI, which right now there is ChatGPT kind of came about, what is now 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And everybody went after it and became really good at very good at prompting, right? There's these engineers, that's all they do. And that's fantastic. But you need somebody to be prompting, right? And there are very specific tasks. So what agentic AI does is builds overall automation with AI in a way that allows it to be almost autonomous to deliver a task. And we are working ourselves right now on a product that hopefully we can showcase summer, maybe Q3, that is going to be, I think is really good. It came out of a process that we have, and it's about recruiting for us, right? So we have a process that we follow. It's called passive recruiting, and that's just going after and keeping in touch with people, having them in the loop, having them learn about Asinpa, all of that. And all of that right now is we leverage certain automation tools, but there is somebody constantly there, right? And going back to the prompts, it's very structured, right? Which is, hey, love to connect with you, blah, blah, blah. And if you connect, then send this message. And if this happened, then send that message. It's very step. If you replace that now and inject the model of AI where now it's more conversational, right? Now the whole thing just changes. And now the model can to some degree start evaluating what do you like to do, blah, 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 with the point of maybe setting up a meeting with somebody at Asinpa, or in our case, with somebody at whatever corporation ends up using it, so that you can identify it and have people in your funnel, so to speak, from a hiring perspective. And I think this is going to be a game changer. I'm sure there's a lot of people working on something similar, but there's that. I was at a demo on AI at a talk yesterday, and somebody did a demo on how they incorporated it with Workday. And it's pretty cool. The opportunities really are endless, right? The way they did it is they had is a component within Workday that consolidated certain information and allowed them to manage and open tickets and do certain things. And the AI was in the middle doing certain things and providing certain feedback. So it's going to be, you're going to have the solutions that people can leverage. And then you're going to have the very specific use cases that apply to you, because everybody's going to be different. So it's pretty wild, and I think the world it's in the next 2 years is going to change dramatically because of it.
Yeah.
We've been talking 5 to 10 years, but at the same time, we're like, wait a minute, we don't know, because look how much it grew in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's a hyperbola, right? It's not a linear equation. It's just hockey sticking like crazy.
Wow. Do you think we're going to jump straight to agentic? Because that's a new term for me. I just had to learn it myself. Are we going to jump right to agentic, or first prompting in payroll? No, it's going to go right to agentic?
Yeah, think of it as, I'm going to oversimplify it, right?
Yeah.
Agentic is going to be a new widget that integrates with your payroll system, that allows it to do things where human interaction is needed today. And it could be dealing with system integrations, right? It could be that today there is a process for you to validate on your POS, on your time and attendance, right? There, something is happening. Then you have to follow up with this person or that person, whatever. Imagine all of that being now gone, where a human doesn't have to do it. And this process is now taking care of it. And talking to that individual to understand why this happened, why that happened, and learning from it, right? That's what I think is going to happen. And that's the big difference, where some of that today, through the proper prompting, you can get some things accomplished. But now this is going to be your assistant to some degree, but in reality is another employee. That's the
Yeah, we've gotten some pushback on that, because I know Brian said that it is going to drastically impact the payroll industry. And some people are like, no, we're years away from that. So I'm glad that you just reiterated that as well.
Yeah, there is going to be a lot of impacts on payroll. And probably, if you really look at it from what payroll does, it's probably going to be a little less specific to payroll and a lot more specific to HR.
Yep.
There is just a lot of things on HR from an onboarding perspective, from a performance management perspective. There's just a lot of use cases around it. Payroll, I think the core of payroll, there is still quite a bit of touching that is needed. If you are managing an organization where, by and large, everybody's salary, right, it's just auto pay, blah, 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 you should be pretty hands-off anyways on that.
True.
I think the way to look at it is anything that you need to do from processing employee changes But that, again, to me, is more on the HR level, right? Your benefits, something happened, a life event happened, or something like that. That's just more, it happens to trickle down to payroll. But nowadays, your HR and payroll are the same system. So once the data goes there, everything is all on the same database, so to speak.
Okay. So let me ask you, Gustavo, what excites you about the future and what's to come?
Wow, that's a huge question. I think that there are a lot of things. There are some personal things. If we stick with sort of technology, we are really keeping close and playing with, but from the business that we're in, what does AI do or represent in our future? And it's pretty exciting to know that we can have AI helping us develop software that much faster, right? The biggest thing in my mind is how do we, the human aspect that sort of tries to understand what the software needs to do in talking to you, and we still get it wrong, right? How is that going to improve from an AI? Because back in the day, again, very technical, right? The issue with software development and waterfall is that you needed to define everything first, and then there was a design, and there was this, and then by the time you got to the end, a lot of things had changed. The solution didn't necessarily make any sense to what you really wanted. And so this is going to be much faster, but I'm just trying to figure out to what degree a business person can really articulate what they need to AI. And so there's conversations. When I look at specific AI.
Are you battling burnout and disengagement at work? You're not alone. Millions of employees around the world struggle to find healthy and happy ways to work. But some have unlocked the secrets to creating team cultures where everyone can thrive. Do you want to know these secrets too? On the Leading for Wellness podcast, Dr. Patricia Grabarek and I, Dr. Katina Sawyer, pack every episode with research-based and actionable tips for boosting well-being at work. If you want to drive results without burning out, listen to Leading for Wellness.
I envision the transition to have a business analyst AI that's having that conversation that's very focused on, here's the domain, right? I'm building a payroll system. I know all about taxes. I made FUTA and FICA, and I know those ladies, and all of that needs to happen. To then translate that pseudocode behind the scenes into some other AI that's going to put it together, build it, and so on and so forth. That's very technical. I think when you look at it from a business perspective, gosh, my head scratcher goes to if AI does just half of what people are saying it's going to do, how and where are we going to be getting our paychecks from? What are we going to do? How are we going to earn money? And that's what I'm, from an excitement perspective, believe it or not, is like, where is this going? Trying to figure that out is super. That's long-term, right? The immediacy right now is how can we employ all this new technology to make better solutions, to improve the life of people, to make our day-to-day work that much smoother, and hopefully have a little fun in the process.
Yeah, for real. I think at the end of the day, I just did an interview with an analyst that was picking on my brain about where I think AI and payroll are going to go. And I think that there'll still be a pilot for a while. Like you said, payroll still has some things that need to be touched depending on the demographic that you serve. So I think that, and then there's a comfort level of, because it's almost, it's crossing the chasm. Crossing the chasm where, some folks want to innovate, leaders in that, but other folks are like, I'm going to see how you do with it first. And then, and I think it will follow that same chart and line type of thing where companies will be like, I don't trust AI yet. We do have hallucinations.
You're absolutely correct. And you can go back. I shared my story of starting this in 2000. But if you remember back in the day that people had desktop applications, right? And what is this thing? What do you mean you can do this over the web? What is the web? And so on and so forth. It's only been 25 years since then. And you still have people that don't trust the web for many different reasons. And so my point there is exactly what you just said. You're going to have those that are just going to go and be in a better place or have a much bigger advantage over those that don't. And so that falls in two categories. That falls into the personal use, right? Now at your homes, you have all kinds of technology.
Yep.
And how can you leverage that and continue to leverage that to make your life better? But then you have all the corporations that also need to leverage all this technology. And I think the biggest differentiation in terms of who's going to get there first is going to be on the corporations. And it's been now years and years where the small guy that's more nimble, that can move faster, is going to eat the big guy.
That's right.
And so the big guy is just a huge transatlantic boat that it takes a while to turn. And if they don't find a way to maneuver that and turn faster, they're going to look very different.
Yep. Don't be blockbuster.
Yeah.
And that's what I told the girl. I said, I think it was a young lady that I knew that did the interview. And I said, some companies are going to be blockbusters, some will be Netflix. I don't know who's going to be in the because that comes down to the humans that are driving it.
Correct.
So as we close this, and thank you, Gustavo, for joining us today and sharing. Amazing. What should the listeners do to connect with Asinpa?
Yeah, thank you. They can follow us in LinkedIn. We have an Asinpa page there. They can go to asinpa.com. There is a phone number, an email. They can certainly look me up on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with them and happy to answer any questions they may have. I'm always looking for ways to connect with more people and try to add value to their lives. Happy to do that.
Spoken like a true payroll professional. I love it.
Awesome.
Cool. Any closing remarks?
No, I just have a quote of the day from Albert Einstein, and I think it perfectly puts a bow on today's conversation. Look, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use to create them.
There you go.
Love it. Love it.
Nice.
Again, thank you again, Gustavo. And folks, look out for him. The links will be in the show notes. We will share it. And have a great one. We love you.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was great.
Thank you.